everyone. My name is Fox Chalker, and I am honored to be here with each of you tonight. My parents separated when I was about 3 years old. My father went into the Army. I've always been my mother's primary confidant and most regular companion. She is someone who has struggled to keep both feet grounded in reality. And while I love her, I have always known that I need to be wary of trusting her. As far back as I can remember, I stepped in when a partner of hers became abusive or her heart was broken. I was there. Our constant moving was a part of this cycle. Fall in love, love falls apart, and Mom and I need to move again. As a result of her various neuroses, I had been to more than a dozen schools before high school and twice as many apartment complexes. Looking back, most of our moves were panicked, fleeing some recent downfall, be it an abusive partner, a crazy landlord, a stalker. At one point, one of our houses flooded and the landlord refused to take care of it, and the house became overrun with toxic mold. I felt like we could never really catch a break, that life was just hard for us, and my family was different from other families. When I managed to make friends between the moves, I always just felt strange, because we were different. When I was 11, she had a massive heart attack, which led to her becoming agoraphobic, meaning, for those of you who are unaware, she is panicked at the thought of leaving the house. Public places and the thought of the sky send her into anxiety attacks. Her illness triggered an understandable amount of anxiety in me. What would happen if if something happened? And how was I, at 11, supposed to take care of the both of us? At no time was I ever just a kid. Occasionally, she would stop to tell me that I should go outside and play, be a child for a little bit. But that plea to just go and be free came from a part of her that felt guilty, knowing that I had to grow up so fast. Following my mom's heart attack, I moved in with my grandmother for about a couple of months until things stabilized. Then I reunited with my mom, and we had a couple of really good years together. But the familiar cycle kicked in, and at 15, we moved to Kent for a new relationship. Shortly afterwards, we discovered my mom was expecting an unplanned pregnancy. I was excited to become a big sister and helped my mom through what was known easily as a tumultuous pregnancy. However, as I'm sure most eldest siblings in this room know, as soon as my sister was born, I was fairly jealous. It turned out as well that my little sister was born with a string of special needs, meaning she would need constant care every day. Accompanying with my mom's mental health, she had declining physical health. And the combination of my sister's needs and my mom's needs meant for about two things: high medical bills and stress. It became quickly clear that there was only enough money for one child. The never-ending churn of moving, volatility, and worry of what would happen and who would come next took a major toll on me and my family. My mother and my stepdad began fighting every day, and it just became an unhealthy place for me to live and be. Candidly, it was pretty clear that I was no longer welcome as well. There I was, just about 16 years old. I had already started couch surfing and staying with friends to alleviate some of the pressure at home. I have a memory of missing the very last bus home from Redmond is where I hung out, and I'd been hanging out with my friends. Teenagers aren't really known for timeliness. I called my mom and told her that it was snowing and I needed a ride home. And she told me that there was no money for gas, and she was sorry I'd have to work it out for myself. A few weeks later, I came home to my father, or stepfather, packing everything I owned into storage. By 18, I was full on outside. My backpack was my lifeline, and there were plenty of times I walked all night to avoid danger and stay in the light. The next 4 years are defined by this limbo: friends' couches, falling asleep to the sound of the cars driving above on the bridge, climbing into my sleeping bag under a bush in the park and hoping that I wouldn't be found by police or worse. The never-ending rain and the cold and the loneliness. I really wanted to get a job so I could take care of myself and move on. It's what most youth in my situation want. I didn't know how, and I didn't have any relevant experience. I had never done well in school, and the pressure of being labeled a bad student and then later on the street being told to just get a job repeatedly made me insecure in my ability and possible opportunities to work. This is when I discovered YouthCare. Other young people helped me find the Orion Center one night for dinner, and after spending a few more evenings there reading, getting fed, talking with youth and staff, I decided to begin working on my GED. Going to class at a steady time every day and having something to work towards gave me a little bit of the stability that I had been craving. Someone finally encouraged me to participate in YouthCare's barista training program. I was excited about the prospect, but had become accustomed to setting my expectations pretty low. My experiences in the GED program had given me a little more hope, though. I was quickly accepted into the barista program and given myself a new sense of worth. As I had structured new goals to reach for, I decided to get a pet rat. I named him Toki. When you struggle with self-worth, having something or someone else to take care of helps you, motivate to take care of yourself. I knew if I had Toki, I would want to get him a safe place to live and eat, keep him warm, and give him love, all the things I aspired for myself. I had run out of friends who could offer a couch and had been sleeping in my grandmother's abandoned house. There were no utilities, and it was hours from the city. I made the decision to stay at the young adult shelter at Orion, but the idea of the shelter scared me at first. Quickly, though, I became comfortable and felt safe the more time I spent with the staff. Food, clothing, and showers definitely helped, as well as a warm and safe place where I could expect to sleep pretty much every night during the barista program. Then, the culmination of all my hard work and persistence came to fruition in a single week. First, I successfully completed the barista training program and graduated. I felt a self-confidence and pride in my skills, and I finally had accomplished something. I learned a skill I loved and was talented at and got a job immediately. Second, with the help of YouthCare to find an apartment and make moving arrangements, I had my own place. It was very small, but it was all mine. For those of you who donate household items such as sheets and towels, canned goods, pots and pans and stuff like that, know that it's very empowering to move in with all of that stuff on the first day. You don't have just an empty shell of an apartment. And I felt an amazing sense of empowerment as I set up my apartment and built Toki's cage and put groceries away, simple things like that. It was amazing. Third, I successfully completed my GED. And thus, it coincided that on my 21st birthday, I would be celebrating a housewarming as well as my graduation from 2 programs and gaining a job. Finally, I had a safe space for me and my pet. I remember feeling a sense of joy and power that I had never known, and it was completely life-changing. I remember walking home from taking my last GED test in the cold and the rain on Capitol Hill, and I remember not having to worry because home was just around the corner. I had a door I could lock with a couple of towels and a heater, and my loving pet waiting for me. I now balance 2 jobs, one at a games event location called Puzzle Break, the escape room game, and secondly, as a model for various creative projects. I had started to model right as I found youth care, and for comparisons, here's a photo of me around age 19, and here are a couple of recent images from my modeling work. It's shocking. Yeah. It's shocking even to me. I continue to figure out how to have a relationship with my mom and know I will always be drawn to take care of her. But now I know not to let her struggles be my definition. We will never be able to go out together for dinner without it being an enormous ordeal, or, without her being several hours late. My family will always be a bit unique. I now have a loving relationship with my little sister, and I'm honored to get to watch her grow up. When I think back on my time experiencing homelessness, I can actually see many lessons that will always stick with me. Remembering that things are going to change. Nothing ever stays the same, even at the worst of times. Homelessness is an honest part of my life story. I am proud of my power to survive. I also learned how to ask for help, something so many people struggle with. By asking for help, so much came my way. The youth care staff was my lifeline. They helped me have the power to move ahead on my own. They saw my talents and intelligence, while they helped me grow my skills. They also made me feel valuable. Youth Care has always been very supportive of queer youth, and having a place where I could spend time with my peers, free of judgment, was incredibly important to my personal growth. One of my most powerful experiences I had at Youth Care was participating in advocacy internship. We learned about our rights and how to participate as an agent for change. On Youth Advocacy Day at the state capitol, I ended up having a meeting with Senator Frocht on the 46th district. I shared with him my thoughts about how homeless youth have so little, but always feel like they're taking up too much space. Everywhere you go with your backpack, you take up space. Where you're crashing for a few days, you take up too much space. When you go to a store, people can see your huge backpack, knocks things off the shelves. You take up too much space. It makes for an elephant in the middle of the room, only you're the elephant. He shared my story in an email to his constituents and referenced the impact of our conversation in the article in The Stranger. The bill he was working on didn't pass that session, but Senator Frocht remains one of Youth Care's greatest advocates. Following this experience, I knew the power of my voice and how to use it to create a most equitable community. The future is really my oyster. I have a growing modeling career that takes me up and down the West Coast. I love being a part of the community of artists and expressing our creativity together. I am working on a few projects, but mostly focusing on trying my hand at photography. I spend time with friends and enjoy going to local art galleries, openings, and events. It's easy in a busy world to avert your eyes or go home and pretend you didn't see that young person in the park or under the bridge. maybe outside your office building. But now you've seen me, now you've met me, and I was that kid. Please don't ignore us. I ask you to remember that every person who is homeless has a story that you have yet to hear, of how they came to be where they are and of where they will go with a little bit of generosity. I appreciate this chance to be heard, and I thank all of you for being here today.